Hey, how are you guys? I'm going to read today. I've got nothing else to talk about, so I'm just going to read. Hello. How are you? What's happening, everyone? So I'm going to read this book today. And I thought maybe I'll read it with you guys because it's one of my absolute faves. I've read it probably about... How many times have I read this book? Probably about 7 times. And I know that sometimes you can't be bothered to read yourself, so it might be something I can do. We'll see. We'll see if you guys like it. So I'm going to give you some of the... Before you invest your time, bring you up for what? To read with me? I'm going to read. Thank you. So this is the book. It's called Africa's Business Revolution. How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market. So this book is... When was it written? Because I've had it for quite a while. You can see the pages are yellowing. Let me find the date for you lot. All on. Where's the bloody date it was written? Hey! I'll read you that book as a bedtime story. Well, I'm trying to read it to you guys so you lot can have a bedtime story. How about that? Is that fair? I feel like that's fair. So this version, this edition... Why is it so complicated? Usually that's interesting, isn't it? When was this edition written? 1992. Found it. All right. So, to all of those who are building and growing businesses across the continent, creating jobs, delivering value for their shareholders and making a difference in people's lives, this book is for you. I hope it inspires others to do the same. Let me give you some of the reviews that were given for the book to see. Hey, how are you? Africa's business revolution is eye-opening. It will reset your thinking about Africa and its untapped opportunities, not only from a business standpoint, but also a social and environmental one. A very compelling read, rich in practical insights on the why as well as the how. A great encouragement to do more, a must read for today's leaders. So let me know, do you guys want me to read this book to you? That's really what I want to know. I'll give you another review, just so you know. And hi, everyone. I hope you're all good. Hello, how are you? For anyone who's just joined in, please make sure you tap the live so more people can join. And then also, if so the title is Africa's Business Revolution. I'm trying to hide my fingernails because my nails need redoing and I'm embarrassed. You're my biggest fan. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. So yeah, I'm going to read one more review of it just so you can see. But like literally, I love this book. I've read it about 7 times. So it's a good one. A powerful and compelling guide that captures practical know-how for doing profitable and socially impactful business in Africa. Its unique findings portray Africa as the new frontier, thereby making the most of renewed optimism in Africa through its rich, challenging and inspiring context. Doing business in Africa is for the discerning, imaginative and bold executive. This book reaffirms my conviction that Africa is the best kept secret for a profitable and fulfilling business enterprise. That quote is from Aliko Dangote, who, as most of you know, is the richest man in Africa. And one of the richest men in the world, to be honest, if we don't play his role down. So, Africa's Business Revolution, How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market. So, I want you guys to let me know. How do you let me know? How are you going to let me know if you want it? You're going to tell me if you want it? You're going to like the screen? Do you want me to read it? Or should I just start and then you see if you like it or not? So part 1 is about why Africa, why now? I'm just going to read anyway. And if you lot get bored, you get bored. As soon as I get on live, I always feel like I need to pick my nose. And I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I got bogey, guys. Please go on. Thank you. That's all I needed, one person. So here's the preface, right? So As global business interest in Africa has blossomed, we have found ourselves traveling the world to help executives understand where the true opportunity lies and how their businesses can seize that opportunity before their competitors do. A few years back, one of us, Acha, found himself in Seoul, presenting to the chairman of one of the largest Korean conglomerates. At that stage, the company had almost no presence in Africa, and its executives were concerned that their Chinese competitors were stealing a march on them. As always, the McKinsey team arrived at the meeting armed with PowerPoint presentation. The first page was a map of Africa. We'd intended to flip quickly past it, but the chairman stopped us in our tracks. You've made a mistake. Oh, I love that you're listening. You see, that makes me happy. That's all I want to know. Is, are you lot listening? And can you tap the live so that more people can join? Yeah. You've made a mistake, he claimed. You have two countries called Congo. In fact, there are two countries named after the mighty river Congo. One is the mineral-rich but conflict-ridden Democratic Republic of Congo, which with a population of around 87 million and a land area 80 times that of Belgium, is former colonial power. On the other side of the river is the Republic of the Congo, with a population of just 5 million, but a GDP per capita 10 times that of its neighbour, reflecting its position as a significant oil producer. Yes, there are two Congos. Why not? There are two Koreas, we told the chairman. There were laughs all round. But this moment of confusion underlined a real issue facing any company seeking to build or grow a business in Africa: how to navigate the continent's bewildering scale and complexity. Shall I go on? I love that. There, that's enough reason for me to continue. Make sure you tap in the live, please, and share the live if you can. I don't know how you do it, but I've seen someone share it on one of the last ones, right? I'm going to continue. So anyone who's just joined this second, we've just realised, well, not we, but we have been reading the book. Yay! Thank you. I'm not AI. Or maybe I am. Maybe we've just reached AGI. Anyway, let me not confuse that. So we're reading this book, Africa's Business Revolution, How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market. So Africa has 54 countries with a combined population of 1.2 billion. It has over 1,000 languages and huge diversity in income levels, resource endowment, infrastructure development, educational attainment, and business sophistication. It's one thing to get a handle on the physical map of Africa, but it's an even greater challenge to create an accurate mental map of the continent. In our experience, the instinct of most business people is to underestimate Africa's size and potential as a market and overestimate the challenges of doing business there. I feel like that is probably a huge statement. So I'm going to just recap on that, just for anyone who missed that. It's one thing to get a handle of the physical map of Africa, obviously, because the map has been manipulated significantly, right? But it's also an even greater challenge to create an accurate mental map of the continent. In our experience, the instinct of most business people is to both underestimate Africa's size and potential as a market and overestimate the challenges of doing business there. So how do you guys feel about that? Should I continue? Are you tapping the live? Are you sharing it to make sure that people are joining? Let me know if you're following. I need some signals. Let's test your own perceptions. How many companies in Africa earn annual revenues of $1 billion or more? Take a guess. How many do you guys think? How many companies do you think earn $1 billion or more? Even if you don't write in the chat, have a little think with yourself. Say Samba so I know you're not an AI. Less than 10%, 10. Are you lot cheating? Are you cheating? I want to know if you're cheating or not. Anyway, if you guess fewer than 50 such firms, you're in good company. We surveyed over 1,000 business executives across Africa and the world, and 50 was the maximum number chosen by most respondents. Several said 0. So I'm not AI. So as you can see, this kind of reinforces what it said in the other part, just for anyone joining, right? It's one. The instinct of most business people is to underestimate Africa's size and potential as a market and overestimate the challenges of doing business there, right? So you guys can see that you fell into that, right? Several said zero. When we asked the same question at events such as the World Economic Forum, participants were only slightly more optimistic. Most put the number in billion-dollar firms at between 50 and 100. But the reality is there are 400 such companies, and they are on average both faster growing and more profitable than their global peers. Remember, this book was published in 1992, so that number has grown. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, that's the first gift you ever sent. That's really, really impressive. Thank you. Africa's banks, for example, grew their revenues at double the global average between 2012 and 2017, and on average were more than twice as profitable as those in developed markets in 2017. You might need to reset your mental map of Africa in other ways too. Perhaps you see it as a continent of villages and smallholders. In fact, it will soon be the fastest urbanizing region in the entire world. I added the entire in there for effect. Just says in the world, but I wanted more people to watch you. I love Africa. The more I learn about Africa, the more I wonder why we moved to London, then to the US after. Yeah, I mean, there's a number of factors that probably played into it, but Psychops being a big one. How can I subscribe to your community? So I have a Patreon. The link is in my bio. Or you can, if you're on Instagram, you can subscribe on there. I think I've got a subscribe button on here, but I don't have any subscribers at all on TikTok. But you can do it. Thank you. 50% of the live goal is completed. Celebrate the moment. Oh, what's that? Anyway, we'll get back to it. Let's get back to the book. So anyone just joining, just letting you know, we're reading Africa's Business Revolution, How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market. How am I doing on this? This is the first time I've ever read a book on live. I didn't know anyone would join me, but I think I'd like watching a live where someone just read a book on for me and engaged a little bit, and I can ask questions. Anyway. Africa already has many cities worth more than 1 million inhabitants, as North America does, and more than 80% of its population growth over the next 2 decades will occur in cities. The income per capita of Africa's cities is more than double the continental average, making them attractive markets for any businesses. Who wrote this? So the book is by Acha Leke, Mutsa Chironga, and Georges Desvaux. I'm probably butchering their names because I'm really bad at pronunciations. But and it was done in partnership with Harvard Business Review Press. But it looks like this, by the way. One of my two of the best finds that I have in here is or that I like reading to people. I like reading to people about the Congo part, because most people don't know that there are 2 Congos in Africa. And then there's also a part about Indomie when we get into it, right? Do you think, sorry, you can see I'm a bit of a bird, innit? Do you think that I should read a chapter a day or a chapter a week? Or do you think I should just read till we're tired? Do you think that I should do a book club where we review these books? Do you think that... Ooh, not me getting gifts. A chapter a day. Okay. That's quite a commitment for me. I make such big promises. What a book club. Okay, and what would a book club look like? Remember, you see most of my stuff, I like to do it and then write my book. I like to do a book club. I like to do all of my content and the stuff that I'm doing like open source, because I'm trying to learn at the same time as you guys. Chapter a day. Okay, what time would be good to do a chapter if we're doing chapters? Please do a book club. Okay, so if we do a book club, and in the book club we do a chapter a day, or thank you so much. Does that make sense? A chapter a day as part of a book club. About this 11 p.m. though. Well, because right now I've got a sleeping pattern problem. I'm not sleeping at night. That's why I keep going live at these times. I can't sleep for the last week and a half. Anyway. So you guys think about like even late evening, do a chapter, and then we talk about it afterwards, or what? What time is best for me? I don't know. That's the thing. Maybe if I just do a chapter a day and I come on what time I come on, so then I don't break any promises, because I'm not. I don't think I'm that reliable. And then discuss afterwards. Okay, cool. All right. So shall I continue? Hey, hi everyone. So we're going to do a chapter a day. For anyone who's just joining the live, make sure you're tapping the live and and sharing it. I've been watching other TikTokers and I've seen that they say that. And we're reading Africa's Business Revolution: How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market. So if we're doing it as a book club, do you not need to take notes, or do you just want to discuss it after I read it, or what? Like, how do you want to do it? Shall I start again? Like, what do I do? How do I do it? What do you want? Tell me what you want, guys. Thank you for reposting. I can see the reposts. That makes me happy, innit? All right, I'm just going to continue on. You think you're falling in love with Africa? That makes me so happy. Where are you from? Read and we discuss. All right, cool. You're like, shut up and let's discuss the book after. All right, so we was just talking about the income per capita of Africa's cities is more than double the continental average, making them attractive markets for many businesses. How about technology? Like many observers, you might assume that Africa lags the world. But the reality is that this young continent with a median age of around 20 is an eager adopter and innovator in all things digital and mobile. There are already 122 million active users of mobile financial services in Africa, and that has grown substantially, by the way. Just a reminder, this book was published in... Did I say... Is it... I think it was... Hold on. What year was it again? Did I say... I don't want to freestyle. Sometimes I freestyle, out of nowhere. I think it was 2022. No, can't have been 1992. I feel like I said that earlier, but it can't have been. Could it have been? It was published ages ago. Yeah, that will help us. Ghana, Nigerian, born in London. Right. Where am I? The number of smartphone connections is forecast to double from 315 million in 2015 to 636 million in 2022. Yeah, we've definitely surpassed that. Twice the projected number in North America and not far from the total in Europe. Over the same period, mobile data traffic across Africa is expected to increase sevenfold. Why are our mental maps of Africa so faulty? Well, in part, it's because so much of the news about Africa is negative. In a single week in 2017, for example, the New York Times ran the following articles: a profile of 4 boys from a village in Nigeria who had been abducted by Boko Haram, a report on the drowning deaths of migrants from Senegal in their desperate attempts to reach Europe, a news story on corruption in Angola, another on corruption in Tunisia, and a report on alleged government-sanctioned killings in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Is it any wonder that executives from developed countries may have skewed notions of what the environment is really like in Africa? So I saw someone talking on Threads earlier, and they were saying this, or was it on one of my comments? I think it might have been on one of my comments. They were saying about the narrative. Like, why are you always going on about the narrative? This is why. So the book itself is called Africa's Business Revolution, just so that you can see it. How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market. Fantastic book, honestly. A little bit outdated on some of the stuff that we'll be covering, but for the most part, there's some, like, you'll get the gist of it. So all of those stories were accurate and important to report, but such coverage needs to be balanced with other sources of information to gain a full picture of the actual conditions a business might face. This is one of the reasons why I do my content, by the way, and why I doubled down on Africa and the Caribbean, and the Black experience as a whole, because of the way we are represented. Thank you so much. The way we're represented via the news, in only showing the damning things that happen to us, as opposed to the good stories as well. It's not to say that things negative don't happen and we shouldn't report them, but it's about finding balance. Thank you so much. So, again, all of those stories were accurate and important to report, but such coverage needs to be balanced with other sources of information to gain a full picture of the actual conditions a business might face. Consider the following. While media accounts lead to a perception of widespread conflict, Africa has in fact become steadily more peaceful since 2000. Armed conflicts persist, but there are fewer of them and they are more contained. Africa is often seen as synonymous with poverty, yet the share of Africans who are poor fell from 56% in 1990 to 43% in 2012, according to the World Bank. Adult literacy rates have climbed by 10 percentage points since 1990 to 63%. Still too low, but improving rapidly. And those numbers have increased substantially since the time of print, right? Good evening, everyone. If you don't mind tapping the live. Also, anyone who's joining, they keep shadow banning my content, so please make sure when you come across it, you like it and you repost it. Also helps me to earn some revenue via the plays as well, yeah. Not that much, probably like about 10p per 10,000 things, but it all adds up. Anyway, Africa is often seen as synonymous with poverty, yet the share of Africans who are poor fell from 56% in 1990 to 43% in 2012, according to the World Bank. Adult literacy rates have climbed by 10 percentage points since 1990 to 63%. Still too low, but improving rapidly. And again, wide variations exist across Africa, because of course it's not a country, right? Health is also improving, with life expectancies rising and infant mortality rates falling. We've written this book in part to help leaders everywhere draw a more accurate mental map of the continent. The first critical step is to seize in the opportunities for building profitable and sustainable businesses there. What you will get from this book. So the idea for this book was sparked by a challenge from Harvard Business Review Press, who told us that there was a need for a comprehensive book on the African business opportunity by people with deep experience in the continent. We leaped at the chance and immediately began distilling the insights from over 3,000 McKinsey consulting engagements across Africa over the past 20 years. We drew on our extensive research library, including the McKinsey Global Institute's Lions on the Move reports of Africa's economic progress, as well as studies on digitization, job creation, the African consumer, the continent's electricity sector, and women's advancement. We commissioned the executive survey mentioned earlier, gauging the views of over 1,000 businesses, practitioners in every region of the world. More importantly, we interviewed dozens of successful CEOs and entrepreneurs, as well as leaders of major development institutions, to learn from their own stories of the peaks and pitfalls of business building in Africa. Are we following? I don't know why I'm always on here doing this, man, but we just got to do it now. Sorry, guys. One such builder is Nigeria-based Aliko Dangote. Are we following? By the way, we're following. Okay, cool. That makes me happy. Keep tapping and share the live, guys, yeah? One such builder, Aliko Dangote. Of all the executives we asked, he was the only one to guess correctly that Africa has $400 billion companies. Perhaps that is testimony to his confidence in Africa's business prospects and the boldness of his own growth vision. So this was before all of his recent developments. Remember, this is quite a old book, right? But you can see that he was invested from then. From a trading company started with a small loan from his uncle in 1978, Dangote has built one of Africa's largest industrial firms, which manufactures commodities, including cement, sugar and flour in massive volumes. By 2017, the Dangote Group's annual revenues exceeded $4 billion, and Dangote had become Africa's richest person and the world's richest black man. Get lemon and... You know what? I don't even have a cold. What happens is... I don't know what happens is when I speak or when I go on things, I always think I've got bogey. That's what the problem is. I don't know why I'm obsessed with it, but I am. And I'm not a powder puffer, just so you know. Yeah, in case that's what you're thinking. Right, where are we? By 2017, the Dangote Group's annual revenues exceeded $4 billion, and Dangote had become Africa's richest person and the world's richest man. Yet he continued to aim high. His new growth projects included the world's largest single-train petroleum refinery, scheduled to open at the end of 2019. Well, we know that that's obviously changed now, right? Hearing about Dangote makes me miss... Sorry. It is being built near Lagos, Nigeria's bustling commercial capital, at the cost of $12 billion. Dangote's philosophy is think big, dream big, and do big things. This book tells the stories of many companies that are thinking big in Africa. Some are African-born champions like Dangote, Kenya's Equity Bank, and South Africa's based mobile telecoms operator MTN. Others are global multinationals like Coca-Cola, GE, and Total. Several are startups that are bringing together global and African expertise and investment to build fast-growing businesses in new industries. One example is Jamia, one of the continent's leading e-commerce players. Another is M-Copper, which is a sold off-grid solar power kits to 600,000 rural households and finance them via mobile money. Though these companies differ widely in their geographic and sector focus, what they have in common is the imagination to see Africa's unmet needs as opportunities for entrepreneurship and the long-term commitment required to build businesses of meaningful scale. Although each is a commercially successful enterprise, their innovations and investments have also created real social impact by connecting people to services that were previously unavailable, boosting productivity and growth, and creating a large number of jobs. Indeed, the fastest growing and most profitable businesses in Africa typically see challenges as a spur for innovation and unmet market demand as room for growth. Oh, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you. Guys, keep tapping and sharing the live. And no problem, it is my pleasure to share the words on Haiti. Oh, thank you so much. So anyone who's just joining, I'm reading Africa's Business Revolution, How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market. So yeah, if you want to follow along, then do. If you were looking for something a bit more spicy, I'm not the girl. There's loads of battle forums happening on this platform, and I don't want any part in them whatsoever, right? So indeed, the fastest growing and most profitable businesses in Africa typically see challenges as a spur for innovation and unmet market demand as room for growth. For example, Africa faces huge gaps in education, health systems, electric power and transport infrastructure, and lags in global ease of doing business rankings. These issues might scare off the faint-hearted, but they make Africa a fertile arena for entrepreneurs. Make sure that you're tapping the live, please, guys, and sharing it if you can. I appreciate you. Where am I? It is for such entrepreneurs as well as executives seeking to expand their operations in Africa or access the market for the first time that we have written this book. In the first part, we set out to answer the question, why Africa, why now? We challenge you to reset your mental map of Africa and take a fresh look at the opportunities presented by the continent's growing markets. We spell out how much room there is for business to grow, and we highlight the long-term trends and untapped opportunities you can harness to build a successful enterprise. In part 2, we present a strategic guide to translating those opportunities into enduring business value, a guide that is just as relevant for African-born companies seeking to expand across the continent as it is for companies coming to Africa from other regions. We home in on 4 imperatives to win in Africa: choosing the right geographic portfolio, innovating your business model, building resilience and managing risks, and unleashing Africa's talent. The purpose of this book, however, goes beyond creating value for shareholders. We want to show you not just how to profit from Africa's future, but also how to help shape it for the better. We are convinced that business has a profound role to play in accelerating Africa's development and enabling its people to live better, more fulfilling lives. This is truly a continent where businesses can do well by any good, whether by connecting people with technology, supplying a wider choice of manufactured goods at lower prices, helping build expanding cities and vital infrastructure, or nurturing skills for a young and fast-growing workforce. Is now the right time to build a business in Africa? For all 3 of us, that question has been a very personal one. Acha and Mutsa left behind promising careers in the West, returning home to Africa to pursue the uncertain but passion-imbued task of building McKinsey's practice here. Georges left Asia to do the same. We're thrilled to be part of Africa's exciting story of business and economic growth. We hope this book inspires you to join us. Well, isn't that something? I hope it inspires you guys to make sure that you're joining me every day here for a chapter of Africa's Business Revolution and how to succeed in the world's next big growth market. Do you think you'll join me? I need an indicator. I need to see something. Give me a sign, man, a signal, an emoji, a word. Shall I do another chapter, or should we leave it here for today? Let me know, because I've got time. I can't sleep. Yes. Yes, as in you want another chapter, or yes, you want me to meet you here tomorrow. Which one? Let me know. I think them, because because we haven't even started the book yet, guys. We haven't even hit chapter 1. This is like, all right. And chapter 1 is called A Giant Awakes. And for anyone just joining the live, this live is, we're going to be reading from Africa's Business Revolution and How to Succeed in the World's Next Growth Market. So yeah, tap the live, share it, and hey, hope you're all okay. Also, really great for some of you guys to see that I'm not AI. I'm really flattered that you think I am. It's all my filters, isn't it? Love a filter, you see? Anyway, I'm going to read chapter 1. You like my video about Pescanova learning, leaving Mozambique? Oh, thank you. I think that was a really important one. I feel like we need to start looking for the solutions. I feel like a lot of the headlines scaremonger people away from our continent, as it details in this book, rather than encouraging people to not only come and invest, but to invest sustainably, because what they did, they needed to leave, to be honest. Whilst it's going to cause a bit of a wreckage in Mozambique, it hopefully will present some opportunities for locals and diaspora capital to come in and do the right thing. Hakuna Matata. Thanks for the wonderful job in Lagos and Abuja. We love you. Oh, I love you so much. I can't wait to get back. Yeah. Make sure you guys are tapping the live and sharing it. So we're going to enter with chapter 1, A Giant Awakes. Yeah. And make sure you guys are all subscribed to my YouTube as well, because what I'll probably do is post these afterwards. So if you miss the actual lives, and you can catch up afterwards. You want me back in Lagos? I want to be back in Lagos too. I'm waiting for someone to book me for a conference or something, so I have an excuse to go there without paying me in cash. That's the reality. There's only one way to do that if you're not looking for uncle sponsors, which I'm not. Do you know what I mean? I don't want anyone to have control of my movements there. So chapter 1, A Giant Awakes. One of our objectives in writing this book is to prompt business executives and entrepreneurs from the Americas, Asia Pacific, Europe, and the Middle East to take a fresh look at business opportunities in Africa. And while you're at it, to spend some time exploring our beautiful continent. One must-do activity is a game drive in one of Africa's remarkable nature reserves, perhaps the Serengeti in Tanzania, Kruger National Park in South Africa, and Namibia's Etosha National Park, as you bump along the rutted savannah on the back of a Land Rover. However, you'll discover that some of Africa's most magnificent animals can be hard to spot. A leopard, for example, might be perched still and silent on the branch of a marilla tree, its coat and natural camouflage under the dappled shadows of the leaves. The untrained eye is likely to see only the tree, but those who know what they're looking for will pick out the leopard a mile away. That's a fair analogy for the business world. Executives on the ground, experienced in Africa, sometimes manage to spot opportunities that are hidden from the view of global observers. Just look at the story of Sab Miller. The beer maker started as South Africa's national champion, snapped up global brands such as Pilsner, I don't know how to say that word, Urkel, Miller Lite and Peroni, and ended up on the London Stock Exchange FTSE 100 list before being acquired by rival Anheuser Busch InBev. I'm just freestyling how to say these words because I don't know. For $103 billion in late 2016. It was Sab Miller's success across the African continent, along with its operations in Latin America, that made it such a growth star and justified the eye-watering price tag for its takeover. From 2007 to 2016, the brewer saw its Africa sales outside of South Africa climb from $280 million to $1 billion. By 2016, Sab Miller had brewing operations in around 40 of Africa's 54 countries. Mark Baumann was the managing director of Sab Miller's Africa region during that decade. He told us, "We spotted a huge opportunity in Africa's beer market and we seized it at the right moment. In the early part of this century, most global firms saw Africa as unattractive, so we had limited competition." Are you guys following, yeah? I'm not here by myself. Let me know. Signal. Make sure you're tapping and reposting the live, please. And anyone who's just joined, oh, your show is on. I love that. That makes me so happy. Perfect. Make sure anyone who's new, you remember that if you see my post, please do like and share. They help me to earn some few pennies and also help to spread the message, yeah? And they keep shadow banning me on here. Sab Miller knew otherwise. The continent's population was growing by around 2.5% a year, much faster than most other regions. 70% of the population was under the age of 30. Most countries were increasingly urban and their economies were growing. All bullish signs for beer consumption. Sab Miller's insight was simple yet powerful. Like consumers the world over, Africans like beer. When they can start spending a portion of earnings on non-essentials, one of the luxuries they turn to is an upgrade from home brews to commercial brands. We realised that if we acted early, we could become a number one of two in many African markets. Bowman said, we recognise that if we established a leading position, even if it was small in the beginning, it could grow into quite a big business. Even so, I don't think we ever fully appreciated that African markets would generate the value that they did. Sab Miller began acquiring existing African breweries in 1993, starting with a 50% stake in a money-losing operation in Tanzania. With its local partners, it quickly turned that brewery around, tripling production and generating healthy profits within 3 years. That whetted the appetite for more. We were more or less trying to buy anything that was for sale, had a reasonable brand and reasonable prospects, recalls Bowman. He says the deals were often complex, burdened by poor bookkeeping and questionable tax avoidance schemes practiced by the acquired breweries, but Sab Miller pushed ahead as long as there was some prospect of generating a positive return. With hindsight, what we thought was expensive was actually cheap, he says. I guess that's really an important note, isn't it? Mozambique has other nice stories. You can make other beautiful videos like the one you did. Oh, thank you. Well, please share them with me. As I always say, I like to operate my content as open source. I'm not part of any big research team. I research stuff in my spare time and I like to learn with you guys. So I don't always have everything correct and I don't know everything. So you guys' comment section is really important. I'm not trying to be one of those content creators who's like, this is exactly what is right, and I just try to do as much research as possible and provide you guys with data sources because there's so much misinformation out there. So yeah, just so you know, anyone who's just joined, we're reading from the book Africa's Business Revolution: How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market. Right. So the company started with conservative strategy, using second-hand equipment in its new breweries to save money and cycling in end-of-career executives to manage them. Bowman recounts, as we developed confidence in the business, Africa became a much bigger priority. We completely transformed our philosophy and approach and developed a much bolder long-term vision of Africa and what it could deliver. One element of that new strategy was an aggressive program of brewery building across the continent. With its equipment supplier partners, Sab Miller developed a standardized brewery in a box that it could quickly assemble. A second element was to hone its marketing insights. Using the brand positioning approach it developed globally. Sab Miller created a diverse portfolio of African brands tailored to local markets. In Nigeria, for example, Sab Miller developed a new brand hero. Our head of marketing in Nigeria convinced us that this was the right name because people saw themselves as everyday heroes of their own story. Bowman told us Sab Miller wanted the new beer to come across as local, not the product of a multinational. It designed the label with a rising sun and favourite symbol of the Igbo people, an ethnic group native to Nigeria. And in a country where it can take up to 6 hours to earn enough to buy half a litre of beer, Sab Miller priced the brew 25% below the market-leading Star brand. Bowman recounts the launch of Hero Brewery, an event attended by Nigeria's then president, among other luminaries. 3 or 4 distributors came up to me and told the history of the Hero brand, even though it was totally new. They'd completely bought it in their minds. It turned out to be one of the most successful brands we ever launched, and our production was never able to keep up with the demand. Can you imagine that? So they entered the market thinking that the market maybe wouldn't be substantial enough, and saw that actually that people were telling them the history because their brand was preceding them. So this was at the launch, people was talking about it. So Sab Miller's approach to brands also took into account the huge differences in spending power among African consumers. By the time it was acquired by I don't know how to say this again, Anusa Bushin Bev in 2016, Sab Miller had begun to extend its portfolio beyond its traditional mainstream beer offering. In its drive to appeal to low-income consumers, it acquired a small brewery in Zambia that specialised in a commercial version of the local homebrew made with sorghum and maize. Sab Miller would eventually market the brew as shake. You really do have to shake the brew before drinking because of the sediment. In a dozen countries. At the same time, Sabmiller also made a strong play for consumers higher up in the income pyramid. It launched Castle Light, a South African beer brand, in multiple African markets, targeted at upper mainstream consumers at a price premium. We were spectacularly successful with Castle Light, Bowman said. The consumer proposition was very strong and simple, an ice cold reward that is much healthier and better for you. Are we still following, yeah? For anyone who's just joined, this is what we're reading, Africa's Business Revolution. As Bowman reminded us, though, it takes more than a smart strategy to succeed in Africa. Underpinning Sabmiller's growth was a mindset of winning right from the beginning. Our people had a can-do attitude. They just went out there and built the business. They were the real heroes of this story. In 2011, we published an article in Harvard Business Review entitled "Cracking the Next Growth Market, Africa." We posited Africa. We posited Africa was one of the world's fastest growing regions, and that far-sighted companies able to spot the African opportunity and act on it before others would reap enormous gains. Sabmiller's story is a perfect example. Today we believe the long-term growth prospects for Africa are even greater, and the case for businesses to invest in the continent is even more compelling. We don't pretend that Africa is an easy place to do business, given its geographic complexity, infrastructure gaps, and relative economic and political volatility. Despite these challenges, we believe that companies and investors in every part of the world should be taking a close look at Africa today and its place in their growth strategy for the next 20 years. Here are 4 good reasons, right? So Africa is a 1.2 billion person market in the midst of a historic economic acceleration. That number's increased significantly, by the way. Hundreds of large companies, homegrown and multinational, have already built successful businesses in Africa, but there is room for many more. Africa has huge unfulfilled demand, making it ripe for entrepreneurship and innovation at scale. You can achieve extraordinary growth and profitability provided you get your strategy and execution right. Woo! Hi everyone. How's everyone doing today? If you're just joining, we're reading Africa's Business Revolution. I can't believe I forgot that already. And we are going to read a chapter a day. How far is it till we get to the next chapter though, man? I'm like, have I changed my mind? I could have changed my mind. Hold on. Oh, that's a lot of pages, man. It's a lot. But Sabmiller, a strong company, the first one here in Mozambique, producing the famous 2M beer, top 1 beer. Greetings. Hi, greetings. All right, yeah, I can do it. I can get to chapter 2. It's a lot of pages. Are you lot sure? Because it's 23:37. Do you lot not have work tomorrow? I'm going to read anyway. A 1.2 billion person market on the cusp of transformative growth. Africa is a big place. Its land area is second only to Asia's, and it contains a major share of the world's agricultural land and mineral reserves. Its current population of around 1.2 billion is projected to double over the next 30 years, making Africa an exception in a world of slowing population growth. Those numbers should be reason enough to interest global businesses. What really makes it a continent to watch, though, is the historic economic shift underway. A glance at world economic history gives an indication of what could be ahead for Africa. In Europe and North America, for example, average per capita income barely increased for almost 2,000 years, but suddenly soared with the Industrial Revolution, increasing 20-fold between 1820 and 2015. Asia's boom came later but was much faster. Its GDP per capita increased tenfold between 1960 and 2015. And within Asia, China's rise in per capita income has been even more dramatic. It took just 3 decades for GDP per capita to multiply tenfold after the launch of economic reforms at the end of the 1970s. You are intelligent. You are making an amazing life partner. Oh, thank you. Greetings. Hi, everyone. The African Business Revolution. Yes. All right. So am I good to continue? Yeah. I just have to look up every so often to make sure it's not just me on the live and you guys are actually here with me. Make sure you're tapping the live. One of us at Georges spent 7 years in China at the height. Did I just, what's it called? No. I was jumping. No, I wasn't. One of us, Georges, spent 7 years in China at the height of its economic acceleration. Many African cities today remind him of African cities such as Chongqing or Wuhan 20 years ago. They have the same hustle, the same entrepreneurial energy, and a similar emerging class of aspiring citizens. The urban energy of Lagos, Nairobi, or Abidjan today suggests that much of Africa has reached an inflection point where sufficiently large pool of people have risen beyond providing for their basic needs and have the wherewithal to discriminate among consumer goods, save for their first washing machine or refrigerator, or send their kids to better schools. Indeed, in many parts of urban Africa, there are signs that the simultaneous increases in population and per capita income are triggering exponential growth in demand. That is reflected in the proliferation of retail outlets, cell phone networks, restaurants, housing developments, car dealerships, and traffic jams. Tidjane Thiam, the Ivorian-born CEO of Credit Suisse and the former head of Prudential, the global insurer, is a keen observer of this growth phenomenon and its implications for business. The human brain thinks in a linear fashion, he remarked to us, but exponential growth is in fact more common in nature. Think of an acorn growing into an oak tree. Thiam gained first-hand experience of this truth while building Prudential's business in emerging Asia. One $50 million investment multiplied to $4 billion in little over 15 years, an 80-fold expansion. Thiam believes that the conditions in many African markets today offer similar opportunities. You've got the demographic boom combined with the GDP growth rates of 6, 7 or 8%. Companies that get in there early and shape the right strategy can sustain double-digit profit growth over decades. He said that there is an element of breaking ground, but the long-term rewards will be very high. We all here, yeah? Nigerian Queen, we are here. Okay, right, good. That's good to know. It's good to see you guys. Make sure you're tapping the screen and share the live, right? Where am I? Oh, Charmaine, where are you? You lot gas me. Don't gas me because it makes me lose where I am, right? Really excited when people say nice things about me. It's I must fix that. Anyway, the numbers suggesting that Africa is in the midst of a significant acceleration. Real GDP grew at an average annual rate of a little over 2% during the 1980s and 1990s, but then leaped ahead to 5.4% in 2000 and 2010, making Africa the world's second fastest growing region after emerging Asia. Notably, this growth spurt was driven in nearly equal measures by labour force growth and productivity growth, marking the end of a long period of stagnant productivity. In the late 1990s, private capital flows to Africa, including foreign direct investment, equity and debt, overtook aid inflows and remittances for the first time in decades. So they've got a little graphic for you lot. There you go. Come to Atlanta. I don't think your president will let me in that country. I'm not going to lie. There is a new visa requirement for people from the UK who want to travel to the US. They have to, in order to get their ESTA, they want to search their social media history. Do you think your girl's going to be allowed in? I'm not sure. Can I recommend a book for you? It's called Africa is Not a Country. Yep, I know that book. I will definitely read that after we do this one, right? But that one's going to be really important. Rising productivity and investment in the first decade of the 21st century reflected the increasing diversification of Africa's economies away from resource exports. Although Africa benefited from soaring global demand for oil and minerals during this period, commodities explain only part of the continent's growth over that decade. McKinsey's 2010 report, Lions on the Move, found that oil and natural resources accounted directly or indirectly for just 24% of Africa's GDP growth from 2000 through to 2008. Other sectors accounted for most of the growth surge. Tourism, financial services, transport, telecommunications, and construction all grew at annual rates of around 8% over this period. GDP grew rapidly in both countries with significant resource exports, 5.4%, and in those without, which was about 4.6%. After this heady decade, Africa's growth slowed sharply to an annual rate of 3.3% between 2010 and 2015. This was prompted by the twin shocks of the Arab Spring, which halted growth altogether in Egypt, Libya and Tunisia, and the collapse of oil prices, which caused growth to fall sharply in oil exporting countries, including Algeria, Angola and Nigeria. In the rest of Africa, however, real annual GDP growth grew from 4.1% in the period of 2000 to 2010 to 4.4% between 2010 and 2015. No doubt many African countries will remain vulnerable to economic and political volatility. In 2016 and 2017, for example, Nigeria suffered its first economic contraction in a quarter century as oil production slumped. In the same period, South Africa's already slow growth was further hampered when its respective finance minister was fired and credit ratings agencies downgraded its sovereign debt. The slowdown in Africa's two largest economies was felt across the continent. I think that's one of the reasons why it's really important. Sometimes I realize when I post about a country, the residents of that country are interested, but beyond those residents, we don't tap in. But it's probably really important for us to see what's going on across the continent, so we can zoom out and see the bigger picture as well. I know it's harder to feel as invested, but we should. If we look at the continent in the same way that we would our country, it would be really helpful, as well as the Caribbean as well, because the likelihood that the two should be joined, or the importance of them potentially finding ways to find synergy, would be really important. So in early 2018, however, a change of president in South Africa reinvigorated investor confidence and sent the rand to a 3-year high against the US dollar. Recovering oil prices and continuing economic diversification lifted Nigeria out of recession. Egypt's GDP growth was expected to reach 5%, while the World Bank forecast Ghana to be the world's fastest growing economy in 2018. Well, that's really exciting because they're actually growing really rapidly right now and doing really well, Ghana are. So those developments were a reminder that despite volatility, Africa's long-term growth prospects remain promising. Overall, GDP is still expanding faster than the world average and is forecast to accelerate to make Africa once again the world's second fastest growing region. That's quite a big statement, isn't it? Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for the newcomers. Make sure you tap the live, share it with your people. And if you see my posts, please repost them and like them, so we can get more viewers and more eyes on them. Of the over 1,000 respondents in our executive survey, the majority concur with these forecasts and predict that most African households will join the consumer class in the next 20 years. They already expect the rise in investment in both digital technologies and natural resources. The new and old economies will boost development. Almost 90% of the African-based companies and 58% of those based in the other regions expect their revenues in Africa to grow over the next 5 years, and most plan to expand their African footprint to additional countries. Ordinary Africans are also strikingly optimistic about the future. For example, a McKinsey Global Citizen Survey conducted in 2017 found that almost 2/3 of Nigerians believe their country will be better for the next generation. In developed nations such as the United Kingdom, by contrast, 60% of respondents thought the next generation will be worse off. That points to Africa's part in the great rebalancing of the global economy towards emerging markets. As a 2017 McKinsey quarterly article expressed it, there are 3 geographic entities: India, China, and Africa. Hi, how are you? In which urbanization is empowering populations that exceed 1 billion people. And, what have I missed here? And a fourth, Southeast Asia, and more than 500 million. Together, these enormous India, China, Africa, and Southeast Asia markets hold the potential for significant continued expansion. We expect more than roughly half of global growth over the next 10 years to come from these geographies. You lot still here with me? Are we all still here? Let me know. Give me a signal. Let the AI know that you guys are not AI bots watching. Nigeria needs Chinese model of leadership. Oh, glad that you're here. Yes. Right, there you go. A few taps on the live would help. Like. Let me see you like it. Thank you, Jason. Can see you liking. Woo. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let me continue then. Our colleagues point out that of all the India, China, Africa, and Southeast Asia, we'll call them the ICASA markets, right? Africa has the most unfilled potential, but it also faces the greatest challenges, including increasing sustainable urbanization, accelerating infrastructure development, and deepening regional integration. A failure to achieve any of these could stall growth. In Chapter 2, we look at all of these challenges and the role that businesses can play in solving them. For now, it's worth pointing out 2 efforts by African governments that are already making tangible economic impact. It'll be interesting to look at how this works in now, because we're reading in hindsight. Economic impact, and that have the potential to create a sea of change if they reach critical mass. The first is the drive to improve the ease of doing business, an area in which Africa has long lagged other regions. Several African governments have introduced reforms such as setting maximum processing times for permits and registrations. Where have I gone? Increasing the transparency of government fee structures and implementing risk-based compliance processes that focus effort on more probable contraventions. These efforts to make Africa more business-friendly have begun to yield results. For example, Nigeria jumped 24 places in the World Bank's 2018 Ease of Doing Business ranking from 169th to 145th, thanks to a reform effort that put in place a speedier business registration, improved efficiency in ports, and new visa on arrival system for visitors. According to the World Bank, African countries implemented more than 80 reforms to the business environment in the year to June 2017, and 4 of the 10 most improved countries worldwide, including Nigeria, were in Africa. Where am I reading from? Sorry, if you just joined me, I'm reading from Africa's Business Revolution, How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market. I was reading that backwards. Seriously, when my wife found out I swapped our bed for a trampoline, she hit the roof. Really? Well, I guess, man, that's a really good joke. She hit the roof. How you're funny. Where am I? I hate when I do that. Oh, including Rwanda was several steps ahead of most other African nations and is now a model for other efforts. In 2007, the East African nation set up a task force to improve its business environment. Reforms included setting up an effective one-stop shop centre for investors, streamlining construction, introducing a simplified fixed fee for property registration, extending customs hours, and instituting risk-based customs inspections. Its ranking on the Ease of Doing Business climbed from 150th in the world in 2008 to 32nd in 2014. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. That's a phenomenal growth, isn't it? From 150, Rwanda went from 150th in the world in Ease of Doing Business to 32nd. That's crazy. The second notable effort is to remove trade and travel barriers between Africa's 54 countries to accelerate regional integration. They haven't done that well in doing that, have they, in all this time? But anyway, hopefully we'll move forward. African governments have been working for years to counter fragmentation by forming trade blocs that reduce tariffs and red tape for member countries. For example, the 6-member East African Community and the 15-member Southern African Development Community have both seen their intra-bloc trade grow at 15% a year over the past decade. The integration of African regional markets could soon accelerate, and by 2017, 22 African countries have ratified membership in the tripartite free trade area. How do you say that? Do you not know? We're saying it like that. It's spelled TRIPARTIT, tripartite free trade area, which will combine more than 600 million people in a single trading bloc, forming the 13th largest economy in the world. In March 2018, 44 countries agreed to establish the African Continental Free Trade Area, currently known as AFCA, right? It was ratified by all signatory countries. It will be the biggest trade agreement since the formation of the World Trade Organization in 1995. Wait, we'd like to see it get to work properly though, wouldn't we, guys? Wouldn't we? Hey, anyone who's just joined, welcome. I'm reading from this book, which is Africa's Business Revolution, How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Markets. I've set up a book club today, and what we're going to do is read through the books and then we will discuss them afterwards. We'll do a chapter a day. I don't even think we're going to do a chapter a day though. I think we're going to do a segment a day, guys, because my voice box is tired and I need to record a video before I go to bed. So the late Calesta Juma, professor of the practice of international development at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government, had long argued that larger markets would spur Africa's industrial development, including a shift to higher value products. He noted that this will not only create jobs, but it will also have the added advantage of diversifying Africa's economies. The associated technological development will lead to the creation of new industries. We have confidence that the continental free trade area will become reality sooner rather than later, and prove him right. One encouraging sign is the move to visa-free travel between African countries. We need to have a talk about this, don't we? Because we're a little bit... This book was written a few years ago and there's some stuff that we're like, we're still not quite there. Anyway, when McKinsey partnered with the African Development Bank and the World Economic Forum in 2012 to create the African Visa Openness Index, only 5 African nations offered visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to all fellow Africans. By 2018, that number had risen to close to 20. Many of these countries have already seen sharp increases in the number of tourist arrivals and business visitors. Whoa. Anyway, I've come to a segment end. We ain't come to the end of the chapter, but I am parched, honeys. I need to go downstairs in my house, which is really cold right now, and get me some water. And I think that we will pick up again tomorrow. What are your thoughts on that? Also, I'm going to, I don't know if I can, do you lot know if I can save these? Then I can upload them on my YouTube in case you guys miss it. I'm not sure. But what are your thoughts so far? Where are we at? What was your biggest learning so far in what I've read? If anything. Are we discussing it afterwards or am I just reading? Do you not want to come up and have a chat about it? No? You lot got so quiet. No one's even liking nothing. If you're recording, you can save it. Okay. The growth of Rwanda. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, wicked. Do you know how I save it though? Face for Music Sham. Yes, Face for Music Sham. Sorry, I joined late. It's all right, Kimmy. Don't worry, no beef. Just join in. What were you reading? So I'm reading Africa's Business Revolution, How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market. So this is the book. I think I'm gonna read like a segment every day, and then we can discuss if you guys want. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on that. I'm trying to find ways to make sure that everybody understands we're all learning together. I've read this book about 7 times, and every time I read it, I learn something new. And people always ask me, what do I read? Like, how do I know this stuff? Did I study this at uni? And I'm like, no, I just read bare stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys. Guys, they keep shadow banning my content. They're not showing it on the FYP page. A lot of my content. So one of my best pieces, they're ignoring. And they've been taking some down. So please, if you see my stuff, please repost it and like it, or just repost it, or just like it, or whatever. Only if you like it or you want to repost, obviously. But just some extra initiative that I've asked you to. Please help me to help everybody with the information. But yeah, because you got truth. Yeah, they don't really like that. I'm seeing that. My Facebook got deleted. Some of the posts, like the post that they've recently said that they're not sharing, they're not going to recommend. If you go and look on my page, I think you can see it on my page, I'm not sure, but it's about France wanting Africa back. They said it's misinformation, but it's not, is it? And there are data sources, so I don't get it. And they let so much misinformation just fly about. I see, like, every day, like, I was thinking about doing a debunk series where I debunk some of the rumours, like, because people just make stuff up to manipulate the markets and all of that stuff. And they're just saying stuff. People send me stuff every day, and I'm like, how did this get to stay on the internet? And it's not based on any fact whatsoever. And mine is getting taken down. But I guess the truth is what they don't like, right? Anyway, I'm going to go to bed. Thank you guys so much for it is your recent post of France thing. Yeah. And then another one that I did about Trump, they just took down and they gave me a strike. The internet is filled with people's delusions. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, love you all. Thank you so much for joining me. I can't believe so many of you wanted to stay on alive with me. I'm Asian like fine wine. Thank you so much. What's the secret? I don't know. Smiling a lot. Probably my teeth probably helped. But yeah, good night. Good night. Have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Probably around 9:10. Anyway, ciao. Oh, how do I stop it now? And then how do I stop it and save it? I want to save it. And please, Dayla. How do I save it? How do I save it before I go? What do I do? If I add it to story, will it save it? Is that the best way to do it? Oh. I think I've done it. I'm not sure. I've posted to my story. Oh, thank you. Me, big tech babe, you know. It says tap on the share and then it saves it. Yeah, I've added it to my story. So I think if once it's on my story, I can download it. Anyway, bye guys.